Have you ever been around someone whose mere presence seems to drain your energy, twist your emotions, or leave nothing but chaos behind? It's unsettling, isn't it? Here's the truth. Evil doesn't just live in myths or horror movies, it's real. It's among us. And most disturbingly, it often moves in silence, hiding behind masks that are hard to spot at first. Now, imagine if you could see the signs clearly, before the damage is done. What if you could detect the subtle patterns of manipulation and deceit before they take root in your life? Here's the good news. You don't need to become a detective to do this. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca left us a map, a timeless guide to recognizing evil and protecting our peace. In today's video, I'll reveal 10 undeniable signs that you're dealing with an evil person. Signs that once you know them, you simply cannot ignore. These insights won't just open your eyes, they'll empower you to maintain your inner calm, protect your energy, and navigate your relationships with confidence and clarity. So, if you're ready to see the world and the people around you with sharper vision, let's dive in. 1. Constant manipulation. Seneca once said, "He who has many fears also has many things to manipulate." That's not just a reflection on fear. It's a warning about how dangerous manipulation becomes when it falls into malicious hands. Evil people don't thrive on truth or integrity. They flourish by distorting reality, weaving lies into weapons. Remember a time when I worked with a colleague I initially admired. He was skillful, offering praise in public, making me feel seen and valued. It felt genuine. But behind closed doors, he was spinning quiet narratives, amplifying my minor mistakes into serious concerns for the management. When I sensed something wasn't right and tried to confront him, he remained calm, insisting he was just trying to help me improve. At first, it made me question myself. Was I truly underperforming? Was I missing something? Slowly, self-doubt crept in. That's the hallmark of a manipulator. They don't just disorient you, they erode your confidence, brick by brick. Manipulators don't build relationships rooted in trust. They prey on your insecurities, convincing you that without their guidance, you'll fall apart. Stoic philosophy teaches that the antidote to manipulation is clarity and self-mastery. A truly virtuous person will always guide you toward independence, not trap you in dependency. If someone constantly pushes you to follow their lead, ignoring your boundaries and undermining your autonomy, that's a red flag waving in bright daylight. Remember the words of Epictetus. No man is free who is not master of himself. Refusing to play their mind games is how you take your power back. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove yourself. You simply need to recognize the manipulation, step away, and protect your freedom. A mask of charm. Epictetus also warned us, appearances, no matter how dazzling, often hide the truth beneath. Have you ever met someone whose charm seemed almost too perfect, like a character straight out of a movie? Their radiant smile, their soothing words, the way they made you feel instantly special. At first, it all felt genuine. But if you took a step back and looked closer, you might have seen it. A motive lurking just beneath the surface. Sincere charm is beautiful. It connects people, builds trust, and lays the foundation for meaningful relationships. But in the hands of someone with dark intentions, charm transforms into a weapon. They know exactly how to captivate your heart, disarm your judgment, and weave themselves into your life before you even realize what's happening. They'll present themselves as the friend you always wished for, the perfect partner, or the mentor you didn't know you needed. Yet behind that charming facade is something hollow, a glossy shell that conceals manipulation, control, or even cruelty. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." No matter how polished the exterior appears, the true nature of a person will eventually seep through. Their thoughts, whether kind or malicious, color every action they take. Charm used as a mask can only hide darkness for so long. They don't just manipulate. They use charm to deceive. These individuals don't simply manipulate situations. They use their charm as a perfect disguise to mask their true nature: selfishness, deceit, and emotional exploitation. It's not just about how they act when everyone's watching. It's about how they behave when they think no one is paying attention. How do they treat those who can offer them no advantage? That's where their real character is revealed. Words can be beautifully decorated, but actions paint the truest picture. I once knew someone who had an incredible talent for making people feel truly special. His compliments were plentiful. His attention seemed genuine. He made you believe you mattered to him. But over time, cracks began to show. His praise always had a purpose: to extract favors, opportunities, loyalty. And when there was nothing left to gain, he disappeared without a second thought. And worse, he'd often badmouth the very people he once flattered. How do you break free from this kind of enchantment? Listen to your gut. If you feel simultaneously charmed and uneasy, trust that instinct. These manipulators rely on your willingness to overlook the subtle red flags, to stay enchanted by the illusion they've created. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the truth doesn't need a mask. Genuine kindness shines naturally without needing to be polished or sold. So look past the glittering surface. Observe the consistency between words and deeds. Authentic goodness doesn't need to disguise itself. It simply is. Lies without conscience. Marcus Aurelius once gave simple but profound advice. Nothing should be done if it isn't right, and nothing should be said if it isn't true. But for truly malicious individuals, truth is seen as an obstacle, not a principle. They don't lie out of accident or ignorance. They lie because deceit is their second nature, and their lies aren't random either. They are carefully crafted with a clear goal in mind, whether it's to gain power, escape accountability, or manipulate your perception of reality. Imagine this. A colleague consistently spins elaborate tales about their achievements. One day, she convinces you that she single-handedly led a critical project to success. It sounds impressive until you start digging. Emails, documents, testimonies all tell a very different story. And when confronted, she doesn't apologize. She gaslights you, accusing you of misunderstanding, changing the topic, weaving even more confusion. This is the dangerous game of master manipulators. They make you question your own memory, your own sanity. They slowly erode your confidence and tighten their grip over your mind. But here's their fatal flaw. Lies require constant maintenance. They demand endless patchwork to keep the illusion intact. Meanwhile, truth stands effortlessly strong. It doesn't need protection or adjustment. To protect yourself, pay attention to inconsistencies. Watch how their stories shift under pressure. Do their actions align with their grand claims? Stoic philosophy teaches us, focus on actions, not words. Trust what you observe over what you're told. Ask questions, demand clarity, and when dishonesty persists, don't just walk away, run. Your peace, your clarity, and your self-respect are too precious to sacrifice. 4. Lack of empathy. Seneca wisely observed that humans are social creatures. We are not meant to live solely for ourselves. Empathy is the bridge that connects us, allowing us to share both joy and sorrow. Yet for the truly malicious, other people are nothing more than pawns in their self-serving games. They don't care about your happiness unless it benefits them. They aren't moved by your pain unless it serves their agenda. Their lack of empathy is more than just a character flaw. It's a glaring window into a hollow soul. Picture this. You're sitting across from a friend, pouring your heart out about something deeply personal. You're vulnerable, maybe even hoping for a few kind words or a gesture of support. But instead of compassion, they deflect. "Oh, you think you have it bad?" they might say, turning the conversation back to themselves, minimizing your pain, invalidating your feelings. Their indifference isn't an accident, it's a pattern, a way to ensure that everything, even your suffering, remains centered around them. Dismissal and the chilling lack of empathy. You've probably experienced it. You open up to someone about something weighing heavily on your heart, and instead of receiving compassion, you're met with a dismissive retort like, "That's bad. Let me tell you about my day." They minimize your vulnerability, treating your struggles as trivial. This isn't just a one-off mistake, it's a pattern. These individuals are either unwilling, or worse, truly incapable, of stepping outside their own self-interest to connect with your experience. Their emotional detachment becomes painfully clear, often manifesting as cold indifference, or even a disturbing delight in your misfortunes. Where empathy should create connection, they leave only a void. Empathy isn't just a nice-to-have quality. It's the cornerstone of every meaningful relationship. Without it, interactions become transactional, one-sided, and emotionally draining. Malicious people exploit this absence of empathy for their gain. They might pretend to care when it suits their agenda, but the moment their mask slips, their apathy shines through. As Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, no more arguing about what a good man should be one. So, what should you do when faced with such emotional emptiness? First, set firm boundaries. Protect your peace. Never allow someone's coldness to diminish your worth. Seek relationships rooted in mutual respect and genuine understanding. Relationships that uplift rather than tear down. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your joys and stand beside you through your struggles, because real connection grows from true empathy, not exploitation. Before we move to the next warning sign, if you're finding value in this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with the bell notification on. And if you're starting to see these patterns more clearly, drop a comment saying, "I see the signs." Let's keep learning and growing together. The hunger for control. For an evil person, control isn't just a preference, it's their lifeline. They don't merely want influence. They crave domination over your relationships, your thoughts, even the smallest of your personal decisions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Your mind is under your control, not external circumstances." And that's exactly why these individuals aim straight for your mind. They know that if they can control your thoughts, they can control your entire life. I once knew someone who, at first, seemed genuinely trustworthy. Their advice felt thoughtful, supportive, even wise. But over time, subtle cracks began to appear. They started planting seeds of doubt in every conversation, subtly questioning my judgment, slowly making me feel incapable of making decisions. Without their guidance, one particular moment still stands out. I was considering joining an important project, something that could have been a major step forward for me. They convinced me, almost effortlessly, that I wasn't ready, that I wasn't capable, and urged me to let them handle it instead. At the time, I complied, thinking they had my best interests at heart. But looking back, it was clear. They never intended to lift me up. They wanted to keep me dependent, trapped under their control. People like this don't just want to influence your choices, They aim to dominate your emotions, your confidence, your reality. They use guilt, shame, or false kindness to manipulate you into relying on them. They are not invested in your growth. They are invested in keeping you small, insecure, and within their grasp. Epictetus wisely taught that freedom is the only worthy or goal in life, and that true freedom comes from refusing to be controlled by forces outside of our influence. Malicious individuals know this truth all too well, and they will do everything they can to imprison your mind. But here's the good news. You don't have to live under their control. You have the right and the power to break free. Ask yourself, does this align with my values? Use that question as your internal compass. Let it guide every decision, every boundary you set. Autonomy is the greatest power you possess, and no one has the right to take it from you. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the quality of your thoughts determines the happiness of your life. Guard your thoughts. Guard your peace. Those who truly care for you will never try to control you. Instead, they'll empower you to grow, to choose, and to trust yourself. Blame games and deflection. Firmly holding your ground is crucial, especially when dealing with those who master the blame game. Seneca wisely observed that people often prefer trust over judgment, and manipulative individuals exploit this human tendency to their advantage. Instead of accepting accountability for their actions, they craft elaborate stories where they are always the victim. By blaming others and deflecting responsibility, they skillfully avoid consequences and shift the burden onto someone else, often with unsettling finesse. Seneca also reminds us, the truth stands firm without justification, while lies always require elaborate stories to sustain them. And how true that is. Imagine dealing with someone who never admits fault. Every time something goes wrong, they twist the situation, subtly suggesting that you or external circumstances are to blame. I experienced this firsthand while working on an important project with a close friend. As problems began to arise, instead of owning her oversights, she turned the blame toward me, criticizing my organizational skills. At first, it was subtle, wrapped in the tone of constructive feedback. But after repeated instances, I realized I was being manipulated into carrying the blame for everything that went wrong. This is their tactic. They craft narratives that distort reality and cloud your judgment. They play on your empathy and trust, weaving a story where they are always the misunderstood victim, and you, somehow, become the villain. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that the truth stands on its own. It doesn't need decoration. It doesn't need defense. So when faced with individuals who consistently deflect responsibility, it's essential to stay grounded in facts. Resist the urge to react emotionally. When they shift blame, respond calmly and firmly. Demand clarity, question inconsistencies, and refuse to accept the false narratives they try to construct around you. The best defense? Establish clear, immovable boundaries. Refuse to participate in their psychological games. Stand firm in your truth. Remember, integrity and accountability are hallmarks of strong character. When someone refuses to accept responsibility time and time again, their true nature becomes undeniable. Your job is to protect your peace and walk away from their endless cycle of blame. 7. The pleasure of pain. Now let's talk about one of the most chilling traits of truly malicious individuals, the twisted satisfaction they derive from the suffering of others. Epictetus wisely advised, associate with those who make you better. But malicious people have no interest in growth, in mutual support, or in elevating those around them. They seek something far darker, opportunities to degrade, humiliate, and derive a sense of superiority from others' pain. At first, this behavior often appears subtle. It could be a sarcastic remark when you're vulnerable, a mocking laugh at someone's mistake, or a sly smirk when witnessing someone else's failure. Seemingly harmless? Maybe. But over time, these small actions reveal something much deeper and much uglier. I once knew a woman who, at first, seemed merely indifferent to others' struggles. But as time passed, I realized her indifference wasn't passive. It was predatory. I remember the day a coworker was publicly reprimanded during a meeting. Instead of offering support, she chuckled, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. That wasn't just a one-time lapse in empathy. It was a glimpse into her true nature, someone who felt stronger by magnifying the struggles of others. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than one who never faces adversity." But for these individuals, adversity isn't a teacher, it's a weapon. They don't seek fulfillment through achievement, hard work, or personal growth. They find their fleeting sense of power by standing on the backs of those they push down. They gossip, they sabotage. They spread negativity, not because they are strong, but because deep inside, they are profoundly insecure. Their need to see others fail is nothing more than a desperate attempt to mask their own emptiness. But remember, their satisfaction is temporary. Their power is an illusion. In the last section, we uncovered how truly malicious individuals find satisfaction in others' suffering, and use that emptiness to mask their own insecurities. Now let's dive deeper into another dangerous tactic they often use: isolating you from your support system to tighten their control. Safeguard your self-worth. Step away from those who feed on pain. Stoic philosophy teaches us a powerful lesson. Protect your self-worth at all costs. Recognize the signs: their cold indifference, their unsettling delight in others' failures, their constant fixation on dragging others down just to feel superior. And when you see those signs, step away, because every moment you stay in the orbit of such people is a moment you sacrifice your peace, your self-respect, and your potential for growth. Instead, surround yourself with those who lift you up, those who celebrate your victories, however small, and encourage your journey forward. These are the relationships that foster genuine connection, growth, and resilience. True joy is never built on someone else's suffering. It is built on shared success, mutual respect, and sincere care. Isolation as a weapon. Marcus Aurelius once said that humans are born to cooperate, to find strength in unity and shared experience. It's through the bonds of friendship, family, and community that we find resilience and courage. But malicious individuals see that natural unity, and they aim to tear it apart. One of their most potent weapons: isolation. I once had a friend who at first seemed nothing but genuine and caring. She listened to my stories, gave thoughtful advice, and seemed deeply invested in my well-being. But over time, subtle patterns began to emerge. She would make passing comments like, "Your best friend doesn't really support you the way you think," or "Your family just doesn't understand you the way I do." At first, I brushed off her remarks, thinking she was simply being protective. But as time went on, these comments grew more frequent and more pointed. Slowly but surely, doubts crept in. I began feeling distant from the very people who had always been my strongest support system. Without realizing it, I was becoming isolated, emotionally dependent on her perspective alone. This tactic is no accident. It's a deliberate psychological maneuver used by toxic individuals to sow insecurity and make you feel like they are the only person who truly cares for you. The more isolated you become, the easier it is for them to control your thoughts, your choices, and your emotions. But here's what they don't want you to realize. True strength comes from connection, from family, from friendships, from authentic bonds that have stood the test of time. Unity is the foundation of resilience. If you find yourself feeling increasingly lonely or detached from those you once trusted, pause, reflect, trust your instincts. Reach out to the people who genuinely love and support you. Reconnect with those who have proven, time and again, that they are in your corner. Stoic philosophy reminds us, we are not meant to walk through life in isolation. We are built for community, for connection, for mutual support. And it is through these bonds that we find the strength to rise above any manipulation or control. 9. Jealousy in disguise. Now, let's uncover another deeply toxic trait, when envy wears the mask of concern or goodwill. Seneca once said, "Envy is the ulcer of the soul." And those who harbor it often don't attack you openly. Instead, they offer compliments with a hidden barb. Remarks that seem supportive, but are actually designed to chip away at your confidence. I once had a friend who seemed genuinely thrilled by my achievements. After completing a major project I was deeply proud of, she congratulated me warmly, then added, "That's great, but maybe next time you should push yourself harder to really reach your potential." At first, I took it as genuine advice, but later, reflecting on her tone and the pattern of our interactions, I realized the truth. It wasn't encouragement. It was subtle sabotage. It wasn't about helping me grow. It was about making me feel like I hadn't done enough, hadn't been enough. This is how jealousy often operates. It doesn't come with obvious hostility. It's slow, insidious, a drip feed of doubt into your mind. They might say things like, "You did well, but don't get too excited. There's always someone better." Or, "That's impressive for you." Their goal? To make you second-guess your achievements, to dull your joy, to make sure you never fully celebrate your own success. Previously, we uncovered how envy often hides behind false praise, subtly attempting to diminish your achievements. Now let's move into one of the most chilling and undeniable signs of true malice, the unrepentant heart. Jealousy, disguised as concern. Trust your intuition. When someone says things like, "That's amazing, but I heard someone else did even better," it's not about offering helpful advice. It's a calculated move to pull you down to their level. Envious individuals cannot truly celebrate your light because your success casts a glaring shadow over their own insecurities. They don't want to see you rise. They want to see you shrink until you no longer threaten them. Stoic philosophy teaches us, trust your intuition. If you ever sense something off in someone's praise or advice, don't brush it aside. Listen carefully to that inner voice. Look beyond the surface of their seemingly harmless words. Genuine people will praise you openly and encourage you to soar even higher. In contrast, envious individuals will disguise their insecurity and backhanded compliments, trying to chip away at your confidence one comment at a time. Protect yourself. Set clear boundaries. Refuse to dim your light just to make others more comfortable. Surround yourself with those who genuinely celebrate your growth. People who not only clap for you, but also push you to reach even greater heights. Remember, you don't have to shrink for anyone. Stand firm in your worth. Shine brightly, and let your success inspire others who are secure enough to cheer for you without envy. The unrepentant heart. One of the clearest and most unsettling signs of an evil person is an unrepentant heart. Marcus Aurelius advised us, don't waste time debating what a good person should be. Be one. And yet, malicious individuals live their lives doing the opposite. They cling to destructive habits. They refuse to admit fault. They have no intention whatsoever of repairing the damage they cause. Instead of acknowledging their wrongs, they live in denial, crafting elaborate excuses that make it seem like the problem always lies with someone else. Think of someone you've encountered, someone who always had a reason for every mistake. When they hurt others, they don't apologize. Instead, they blame circumstances, minimize the harm, or shift the focus onto the faults of others. Whenever someone tries to gently explain how their behavior caused pain, they deflect. They accuse others of overreacting. They spin the narrative until they become the victim. But beneath all the noise, one truth stands clear. They have no intention of changing. To them, self-reflection is weakness. Apologizing is defeat, stubbornness, denial, and avoidance. They view these traits as strength. But Stoic philosophy teaches the opposite. True strength lies in courageously examining ourselves, admitting when we are wrong, and striving every day to be better. Self-awareness and accountability are not signs of weakness. They are the foundation of wisdom, growth, and maturity. If you are close to someone who constantly justifies their behavior, who refuses accountability, and who shows no intention of change, take a step back. Not everyone is willing to grow. Not everyone deserves your energy. Protect yourself from toxic relationships like these. Invest your time and heart in people who have the courage to confront their own flaws, who strive for better, and who lift you up through their example. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, focus your mind on thoughts and people that elevate the quality of your life. We've now walked through 10 undeniable signs that there might be an evil person lurking close to you. Chilling, isn't it? But remember, awareness is your greatest shield. Evil people can only manipulate you when you remain unaware of their tactics. Once you recognize their patterns, you protect not just your outer life, but your precious inner peace. Marcus Aurelius taught that true strength lies in mastering your mind and your reactions. Don't let toxic individuals invade your mental space or shake your serenity. Set boundaries, stand your ground, and above all, keep shining. Because your light is the very thing they fear most. If you found today's video insightful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment below "I see the signs" to let the world know you are ready to defend your peace and wisdom. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where your journey of strength and growth continues.